Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ask SplitSuit a Question. I'm James SplitSuit Sweeney here for thepokerbank.com, and today we're going to answer one of your questions. So today's question comes from Milu, and Milu asks, when can I fold kings, queens, and ace-king preflop? So that's a great question, and it's one of those where you really need to have good, solid hand reading and range reading skills so that you can put your opponent on a correct range of hands that's in fact stronger than the exact hand you have preflop. Now, just in general, the stronger my hand is preflop, the less and less I'm ever going to be folding it preflop as a pure default. But as with any situation in poker, there are specific situations where folding it could be best, when my opponent's range is just too strong for me to give action with a hand like this, even with a hand as strong as queens, ace-king, and even in very rare situations, pocket kings. So in my opinion, there's kind of two elements that go into folding a hand like this. There's the reactive and the proactive element. So the reactive would be just simply reacting to the opponent's range and making a decision from there. So take a situation where you open queens from under the gun, get 3-bet by a nit, you 4-bet, he 5-bet shoves. In that situation, you're reacting to whatever he shoved and just making a decision based upon the equity you have and the pot odds that you're getting in that situation. Now, if you have queens and he shoved queens plus ace king, well, you're a dog and you just compare it to the pot odds. But if he shoves, say, kings plus, then you're a mega dog. And again, you still compare it to the pot odds, but chances are in that situation you may not be getting a correct price, especially thinking like 100 big blind or more starting stack. So it's one of those situations where you're reacting to your opponent's range in that situation. And when I'm considering folding a hand like queens, kings, ace, king, it's one of those where I'm really never going to be folding against someone's open raise. It's usually going to be where I'm folding or considering folding against like a 4-bet, a 5-bet, or a 6-bet, or some sort of all-in preflop type situation. So in those situations, you would be reacting to your opponent's range. You would be doing the math out, either the fold equity math if you're shoving into them, or the calling pot odds math if they shoved into you, and you'd just be doing a math decision there. And I've done videos on both of those in the Quick Plays series, so definitely make sure to check those out if you're not really quite sure how the math works in these situations. And then the proactive element of this is not putting yourself in situations where you're only going to get action from the absolute nuttest, strongest part of your opponent's range where your hand doesn't perform well. And that's going to happen a little bit more often with, say, queens and ace-king, a little less so with kings, but there are situations where that could be. In a situation where, say, you made a 5-bet shove and you thought that you would only get looked up by aces, you're holding kings, obviously probably not a super great situation for you. You're essentially turning your hand into a little bit more of a bluff given the continuance range that your opponent would have, and you may be better off taking a different line. Same concept if you take that queens example from earlier. You open from under the gun and nit 3-bets you. Well, if you 4-bet, are you only going to get action from queens plus ace king? In which case, why did we 4-bet in the first place? So it's taking that proactive element and thinking about, okay, if I do get aggressive here, if I do make this play or that play, am I only going to get action from a range that crushes me? And in that case, do I actually end up turning my hand into a little bit more of a bluff than an actual value 4-bet, 5-bet, shove, whatever it happens to be in that exact situation? So understanding both parts of it, the reactive, which is usually going to be a little bit more mathy, and the proactive as far as thinking about ranges and the way those ranges are going to contort given your actions. If you understand both of those, you're going to have a huge leg up in these situations, and you're going to understand when it's good versus when maybe it's not so good and it's time to fold or it's time to take a different line. So thanks for the great question, and hopefully this gets you started on knowing when to fold these kind of hands pre-flop. And if you or anyone else has a poker-related question, feel free to leave it on our Google Plus page. I'll leave a link for that in the description box. And also please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this type of video. So same as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck out there and happy grinding.